Hi lovely people, Credible Fatty here. You're welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, I say a big welcome to you. Please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified every time I drop a video. In today's video guys, we are going to be making a pixie cut wig. Very easy. We are going to be making use of a hair pack called the Yushu pack hair. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it well. Yushu. I believe in a picture for you to see it properly. It comes in 4 bundles. So we're going to be making use of just the pack that comes in 4 bundles to complete the hair for the whole head. So if that sounds like something you're interested in or you're curious to find out how it's been done, please go grab a seat, sit tight and enjoy this video. And so guys, making this hair is quite easy. All you need is the patience and the right material, and you have to make time out for it. It's easy, but it takes time. That is one thing about it. So I'll be showing you how to make it manually, that's with your needle and thread, and also how to make it with a sewing machine. So please just sit tight and enjoy this video. What I'm going to be doing right now is to unravel all the bundles and open it up. I'll take a blade and I'll try to split the bundle apart, because the bundle seems as if it is sewn at the weft, like 2 weaves were sewn together. So what I will do right now is to split them apart so that when I sew it into the wig cap, it will give this flat and silky look that we're expecting to get. So we all know, we can all attest to the fact that rocking a pixie hair, a pixie cut wig, is like the easiest thing to do. You just wear it, brush it out and hit the road. You don't have to worry about your hair getting tangled or brushing every now and then, getting caught up in the wind whatsoever. You just throw it on and bounce and you are free for the whole day. So guys, I'm going to be explaining how to sew it in manually. So I would go ahead to wear my wig cap on the mannequin head, and you would notice, if you follow my video, you will know that I always like to turn the wrong side outward and the right side inward, so that at the end of the day, when we're done with the hair, it will give this beautiful and neat look both inward and outwardly. So what I'll be making use for the manual method, of course, is my needle and thread. So I'll fix the thread into the needle. So guys, please watch this part closely. If you don't know how to thread a needle without getting it tangled, just watch this part closely and you will see how I do it. You want to make sure you get the needle, the thread bundle out of the way so that it will not get caught up with the rest of the thread. I don't know if you just watch the video to understand better. And guys, you might want to knot your thread more than once, because when you knot it just once, it might still be a little thin and might pass through the mesh. You know, we're dealing with a mesh cap. So what I do most times is to knot the thread more than once, even 3 times. Sometimes I go 4, just to give it that nice knot that is big enough to stay put where you fix it, and you understand. So I will secure the hair properly, the wig cap properly on the mannequin head with a pin. You can use any pin. You can use the regular colorful tack, or you can just use this pin, whatever you have. You can even use earrings. I know some people that go ahead to use that pin earring. If you have just something to fix, to put that wig cap in place. So what I'll go ahead to do now is to mark it out. I'll be marking it out, the track at which I'm going to be following as I'm stitching. So I'll be using a candle to mark it out. You can use your chalk, whatever you have. Just make use of whatever you have. The reason why I prefer using a candle is because at the end of the day, when I'm flattening it with my flat iron, it tends to melt off and there will be no white coloration showing at the that's give it this unprofessional look. That is why I prefer to use the candle that will melt after I am done. So what I'll go ahead to do now is to start sewing. If you look at the track, you'll see that they are close to each other. The lines are really close. That is how you want it, especially at the beginning. You want to sew very close to themselves so that it will give it that pixie cut look that you want. So I'll take my weave that I've already opened out and I'll look at it carefully, look at the part that is bent inward. If you look at the bundle, see that some parts are facing inward. The part that is facing inward is the part you're going to sew on the wig cap. Please do not sew the part that is facing inward out. It will not, at the end of the day, the hair will not be bent inward. It won't give that slicky look that you're looking for, except you have to flatten it out, which will be more stressful. So if you follow this pattern I'm telling you, that is looking at where the weave is bent to and sewing it. If it's bent inward, you just sew it inward, regardless if that is not the right side. It doesn't matter, just look at where it is bent. If it's bent inward, you sew the part that is bent inward facing the wig. I don't know if you understand. If you look at this video properly, you'll be able to understand fully exactly what I'm talking about. And if you still don't understand, don't worry. During the sewing method, the machine method, I would take my time to explain and the video will be very explanatory. So just stick around and enjoy the video. Guys, you always want to double stitch at the beginning. You double stitch at the beginning. If you want to stitch more than 2 times, fine. You double stitch at the beginning and you make sure your track while sewing, you don't leave too much space. If you look at how I am sewing it, you'll see that the spaces that I leave before the next stitch is really close to the previous stitch. So I follow the track closely, because during the process of brushing, and if the stitches are far apart, it tends to show and get a little bumpy with spaces hanging around that will not give this beautiful look. And you know what we are looking to achieve with this hair is something beautiful and attractive. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? After that, you always double stitch at the end, at the beginning, at the end. You double stitch at the beginning, you double stitch at the end before cutting the weave and start the next track. So you just look at the way I am hiding the thread in between so that it won't show. And guys, you see the way I manage my needle. When stitching, you want to use your second hand to raise the other part of the thread so that it won't get tangled with the hair. So you raise the other part of the thread, open it up, then put the needle in to form a loop. I don't know if you understand. If you watch it closely, I believe you would understand. You use your second hand to raise the thread away from the hair, then open it up, then put the needle in that loop to form a loop. Then you draw it tight to form a very tight stitch. That is basically it. Take your time to look at this next stitch that I'm about to make. You will understand better. So guys, this is basically it. You just continue to mark it out as you sew. Mark out the track before sewing, mark out the track, or you can just go ahead and mark it all out before sewing, but I prefer to mark out as I sew. So that's pretty much it. You can choose to sew it in form of fringe or just sew it with the side part, or fix in a frontal or closure, 3x4 closure, whatever, however you want it. But what I'm going to achieve, what we're going to be achieving today, is the one with the bangs. So when we get to the middle, I'll keep sewing like this, following the track one after the other. Make sure the tracks are close to themselves. Then when I get to the front, I'll start to sew round. I made something similar in my past video, a video I made a while back about how to make a bob fringe. You can check that out. I'll be leaving it in the description box, so you can go check that out so that you can understand better how I achieved it. So I'll just start taking it round when I get to the top. I'm not going to show you that part here, that's why I'm taking my time to explain it. So you keep sewing like this until you get to the front. When you get to the top, you start sewing it round until you arrive at a very small opening, and I am going to be ventilating that opening. And so guys, I was able to sew about 3 to 4 lines before I decided to continue with the sewing machine. So I'm going to proceed using the sewing machine. If you look at it, you see how bent it is inward. That was because I took note of the fact that the weave is supposed to be bent inward before sewing. So guys, I can't stress this enough. While sewing a pixie cut wig, you always want to make sure the weave is bent inward. If it's bent the other way, after sewing it, it won't be beautiful. You'd have to start flattening it out with your straightener before filing with the razor blade. So that's why it is better to make sure it is bent inward before sewing. Even if you have to cut the weft to put it in a way that it will be aligned, it does not matter. The most important thing is that it is bent inward. You can sew it. It might even look as if you are sewing the wrong side. It doesn't matter. What you should focus on is where it is facing. If it's facing curved inward, you are doing the right thing. It's when it's curved outward that you are making a mistake. It's not really a mistake per se, just that it will be stressful. So it's basically the same pattern as sewing with the needle and thread, just different techniques. Sewing with the needle and thread, you also have to make sure the tracks are close to themselves. So one track is supposed to be close to the next, and on like that. That's the same thing you do while sewing with the needle, with the sewing machine. So you always want to get the strap out of the way, because it tends to shift here and there while sewing, and you might end up sewing on it mistakenly, which would definitely break the needle, and we don't want that. Guys, I noticed something as I was sewing. I noticed that the cap got smaller. The cap is actually a small cap. I knew that quite alright while I was getting the cap. I knew it was a small cap. But I never knew it would shrink or it would get smaller. The fact that I was sewing it or using the sewing machine to work on it made it to shrink, reduce the ability of it to shrink. So what I'm going to do now is to improvise. I'm going to be using a lace that I have at home. I'm going to be cutting out few, I think about 1.5 inch, then attaching it to the front because I'm still going to ventilate at the end of the day on the middle opening. I'm still going to ventilate on the middle opening at the end of the day, so I'll still be needing a lace, so it's a win-win. So what I will do now is to attach the piece of lace that I cut out. So guys, this is how it looks after I finish sewing. So what I'm going to be doing right now is to ventilate the remaining opening, the opening in the middle, also called finishing. So I'm going to be finishing it up by ventilating on that middle space. So I'll be using the ventilating needle and a piece of hair that not the same hair from the bundle, another piece of hair that is actually longer than the pixie cut, but it doesn't matter because I'm still going to use razor blade to file it out at the end of the day. So I just ventilate, but you can also check the description box for a video on how to ventilate that I made a while back. I'll be leaving it in the description box for you to see. Guys, I mean, look at this hair. I have not even finished with the hair and it's looking this beautiful. Look at it. And this is because I followed that pattern, the bent inward sewing pattern that I followed. That is why it turned out like this. See how slicky it looks. I have not even filed it out and it's looking like this. It's even tempting me to leave it like this. But no, I'll go ahead to file it out. I'll file it out and flatten it with a straightener. And I prefer to start from the base, start from the back of the wig and work my way up to the middle. That way to be uniform. And you also want to brush the hair out as you file. So you can make use of a razor blade, or you can also make use of a fancy comb that comes with a blade. But always remember to brush out as you file. You brush out, you file, you brush out, you file, and on like that. And you work your way to the top. You start from the bottom, you work your way to the top. And when you get to the front, you want to be careful. You want to know the spot where your ears lie, both ears, where they lie, so you're able to pick out the part that's supposed to come out as steady. You note that spot out, then you file. So guys, this is the finished look. It's looking beautiful, sleeky, attractive, giving this vibe that makes you want to stare. Giving you this vibe that makes you want to stare at it forever. So I'm going to be going in with a mousse to sleek it down perfectly. The hair is giving. It is giving, and I am taking. Don't you just love this hair? Don't you just love it? See how beautiful it is. So guys, that will be all for today. Thank you so much for taking the time out, and thank you so much for your love, your support. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting. If you have anything to say about this video, if you have a better way of doing it, or you have any question that you want me to shed light on, please do not hesitate to comment down below and ask. Please click on that subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, join the family, and also click on the notification bell so that you'll be the first to know every time a video comes in. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good one. Bye.